Survivor Specialist Phil and Alexa are back with our Survivor 45 episode 7 predictions and power rankings. No guest today, just Alexa and I, something that we actually haven't had in a little bit of time.
I know.
Our last 3 recaps have been some strange variation of different people that aren't just the two of us. So here we are finally able to just talk the two of us for the first time, I think, since maybe the beginning of October, which is kind of crazy. The last podcast that might have been just the two of us may have been the podcast where you announced you were leaving at the end of this season, which is insane.
That is extremely weird.
Yeah.
But I think, I mean, we've podcasted together, but with a third person.
Yeah.
Phil and I, we had a tough time scheduling both amongst ourselves and with a guest this week. So it's going to be just the two of us, which is good because we actually haven't been able to recap together. I missed the Sean quit. And I don't know how it went with you and Will. I don't know if that was a good retrial run or not, but that was probably one of the best episodes of TV I've watched in a very long time. Wednesday.
In a very long time.
So that was a jump off the couch screaming kind of moment. And oh man, I loved it.
Yeah, I was all about that. And I thought it was a lot of fun. It was a really good podcast because we got to have some pretty good discussions about what the shot in the dark really means. And one of the things that I can't help but bring up is everybody's talking about how this breaks Wentworth's record. And it does because it's the most votes negated at a tribal council. It's obviously not by an idol because he didn't have an idol. But the one thing that I keep getting hung up on and have been getting hung up on throughout the week is the fact that there's no move here. He did not make a move. And I think that is what is the most interesting to me.
What do you mean?
He went up, he played a shot in the dark. It was 100% luck, whether it was going to be successful or not. He didn't find an idol, play an idol at the right time, get somebody out of the game. Everything he did was pure luck. It wasn't showy. So if you're the jury, well, that's going to be something you remember. If you're sitting next to him at Final Tribal, if that ends up being his biggest move, there's no move. He didn't do anything, and everybody has
he didn't find something. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Because I feel like that's been lost a little bit in this. I think because everybody likes Caleb so much, myself included, I think it gets very easy to get caught up in how epic of a moment it was.
And it was the first time it worked too.
Yeah, well, I mean, hey, don't forget about Jamie. That did work.
I forget about that all the time.
Because it didn't do anything. But my biggest thing with this is it's a great moment, but it's not a great move. There was no move. It was just pull something out of a hat and hope you get the right one, and then that works for you. So Caleb still has a lot of work to do, but I actually think if I'm playing this game, and I know we're about to get split up into 2 groups of 6, so it might just be easier to keep the target on him. But if I'm playing this game, I'm not opposed to working with Caleb, because if this is his big move, this is a very beatable big move. Very beatable.
There's also been a lot of talk around, and this was my first thing too. I was like, how does he win? How does he... It's kind of like Jam last year. He was like, no one wants to work with me because I'm too big of a threat. But one, I think it's very helpful that this split tribal is happening right afterwards. But also, Wentworth goes on to the final 4 afterwards. After Russell and Parvati end up going very far in Heroes versus Villains. So it almost I feel like it's almost this giant explosion, and then things fall and people are like, okay, now we can go back to red versus blue or everyone versus Caleb and Emily, etc.
Yeah. Do you think Caleb's going to be targeted this week by whoever he ends up with? Or do you think that they're going to see past it and say it's not really that big of a deal?
I feel like this is the kind of vote where the lower hanging fruit, for lack of a better term, in the majority alliance goes home. So I think this is the point where Caleb and Emily can just say, I still have no friends. Just use me to get rid of this person that's been annoying you the entire time. But that be I don't know. I just, even if it's 4 blues against Caleb or 4 reds against Caleb, I don't think it's that clean, unless it's the Reba alliance versus him.
Yeah. It would have to be a really, really clean split for this to to go against him. Now, I'm interested to see this as a 6-6 split. We've always seen this as a 5-5 split, and it's one of the big complaints I've had in the new era is that it's always at final 10. So I'm glad they've changed this up and put it at a different time, although I don't know how it's really going to affect the jury. But I am curious how 6-6 will work because you don't have a guaranteed majority there. You're talking 3-3. You don't have a swing position. You don't have a 3-2. It's 3-3. So this could be really unclean. You could end up in a situation where you get 3 Reba versus 3 Bellow and nobody's willing to budge. And the next thing you know, they're sitting there trying to figure out, okay, how do we break a tie? You know, and I don't think Reba would break. I think Bellow would break. But it also depends on what members of Bellow we're talking about.
It really doesn't feel like the Bellow alliance is together, to be honest. I really don't. Bruce said no one is talking to him. Katurah seems fine to get rid of Bruce. Kelly, I think, is down for whatever, and Jake is probably down for whatever. So I don't, and even Bruce said he's like, why aren't we talking? And I think that's really telling. I think that Reba 4 is the only, like, them and Caleb and Emily are the only locked and loaded alliance.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think Bellow, I said this to Will this past week. They remind me of Yellow from Philippines. They're not together. They just were stuck together for a long time and never really had to go to tribal council. And even if one of them gets to the end, I could see that person getting 0 votes just because the rest of the tribe really doesn't like them that much. And I think that's across the board. I know that right now Bruce is getting the heel edit, but I could see Jake or Kelly or Kendra or Katurah being in that exact same situation. If they get to final tribal and they're sitting there, the Bellow people might just say, you know what, you had to get rid of me at some point. I never really felt that much of a personal connection with you. I'm not voting for you to win. I don't like you. Get out.
Yeah. 100%. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. This feels earlier. Don't we usually do this at the final 10?
We do almost every time it's at final 10. I think every time in this new era, it's been at final 10.
Yeah. So this is what the weird Heidi Matt vote was last year, right? So it seems like they're getting rid of that, which I think everyone is probably fine with. And this double tribal twist, like, I have no like strong feelings about it. I think again, like, I think the game in general is too short for any of these to turn into real alliances. This feels like kind of just a good way to break up a potential majority alliance. I don't like it. I don't not like it. I think it's fine. I'm glad that they're doing it now because people aren't anticipating it. So that's good.
That's what I was just going to say too. I don't mind at all that they're doing it because I think at this point we just have to assume they're doing it. It is what it is. Just be ready for it to happen. However, I am happy that it's at a different time. That is what's making me happier. We don't have to like everything Survivor's doing, but if they're putting in a little bit more effort into throwing us off, throwing the actual players off, I think that's really all you can ask for is that. So that's where I stand on all of that. I'm okay with it. I'm not upset.
Where do you stand on, I think I saw a clip of this, like, where do you guys stand on the Bruce Idol timing thing, like his beware advantage? I listened to Jeff's podcast and he gave a little bit of insight about the whole, like, if you lose your vote for the rest of the season kind of stuff. So I can talk to that after.
What did he say? I'm very curious.
So he started the podcast by shading Adam again, which was
see, that's why I don't listen.
It was just weird.
I don't listen to him because I don't know why he has such a personal vendetta against Adam. It's so stupid. It's so unnecessary. But anyway,
it was very odd. But it was a really good Q&A session where there was a question that said, if Alexa finds a beware advantage, but Phil finds the idol, what happens to Alexa? And it's actually, I like the way that they do it. I would find out. So I do get my vote back when the idol is found by someone. But the cool thing is if you find the idol, I only find out that when I walk up to tribal council and I'm given a piece of parchment. So it's cool because I don't know who found it, but I know that it is found. And I think that would be really cool to see in action.
That is really cool because we do get that, what do you call it? Where they talk about, you do not have a vote, please return to your seat. That's just what the piece of parchment says. So the fact that you would get a piece of parchment that doesn't say that lets you know that something's going on here, something strange is happening. But now what if nobody ever found that idol because they left that beach? They would never go back to that beach again. Did Jeff address that?
I think everything like resets at the merge. So
what is the merge?
Right. I know it's a deep question.
Like, what?
It would reset like in this coming Wednesday's episode. So last week, like let's say Bruce never found that idol. By my understanding, Bruce would not have voted last week, but he would have had it restored this coming week.
Okay.
So I don't know. That's like feels like pretty standard.
It's hard
and it probably is in the fine. I think they made a comment that like it's in the fine print of the parchment, but we're just not showing it.
Yeah, it's tough to follow though. I'm not gonna lie.
It's really complicated.
So we'll see that doesn't happen this season. So we'll see how it actually ends up playing out next season, if it's a thing or, moving forward. But let's start talking about this final 12 and let's start ranking them. J Maya went out last week, and from a prop bet game perspective, for anybody playing along with that, she was the worst thing that's ever happened to us. She got none of them. Zero of them.
Really?
She got none.
Oh God, that's awful.
She didn't cry. She didn't what was it? She didn't cry. She got 7 or 8 votes against her, 9 votes against her, whatever it was. It was just under 10, but it was also over 5.
No idol, no episode title.
Nothing. No 40 confessionals.
Wow. Have we ever had that happen?
I don't know. But it now has.
It's now, yeah. She really is in Survivor lore in many different ways now. Yeah. I saw your tweet that was just like I felt her devastation, and to watch her just sit there. And she said, I was reading her exit press. She's like, as a fan, I wanted to jump up and down, but like, imagine this is happening to you. So it was just, that was also what made the moment so good, because you knew we don't know, but like you could see how horrible it felt for her.
Yeah. You can't be excited if you're her. Everybody else is so excited, but of course they are. Doesn't affect them. They all know they're fine.
Exactly. And I love that they all voted for him, but were like lit when he was safe. It's so funny.
Well, let's bring this up real quick, because you weren't here to talk about it. Why the hell did she not vote for somebody else?
Yeah, I think she didn't know she was being targeted.
But
that's my guess.
But she said, I did read some of the exit press because I was trying to get the answer to this, and it feels like a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking where she's just like, I don't know, it's just a lot of whatever. But she knew she was the backup. She knew that if Caleb didn't go, that like they were gunning for her. She knew,
especially because he threw her name out there.
Yeah, she knew her name was coming up. So I just don't understand why she didn't all she had to do was throw a vote at anybody. She could have done it to anybody, and that other person's out of the game. No question.
Yeah.
Because when that last vote came out, the camera was on her, like, it could be her. And then it said Caleb.
And then it wasn't her, yeah.
And she was shocked. And it's like, well, who would have voted for you? Caleb didn't have a vote. So if you're concerned it's going to be you in that moment, then you definitely should have been voting for somebody else, because who else would have voted? You knew that somebody was going to vote for you. Who else would have voted for you?
Right, because I guess she obviously didn't know that he was going to play his shot in the dark either. I think she maybe it was she who said this, but I think she also maybe didn't want to draw a line in the sand because there was only a small number of people there. Though she was apparently talking about Emily. So Emily, I think, was definitely a wrong turn away from going home. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I had that same thought. I know we need to power rank, but what did you and Will think about before he plays a shot in the dark where he starts going at J Maya? I was watching that and I was like, this is terrible. Like, what is he doing? And then we played it. I was like, oh, maybe he was purposely trying to get all the votes on him. But then to want all those votes for only a 12% chance or whatever percent chance feels also like a dumb move. Where did you guys stand on that?
I think he just knew he was going home. I don't think there's really much to look into with this. I think he knew he was going home. And I think he was just doing what most people do when their back is against the wall and they know they have no out, which he really did have no out. He had a 12% chance. He had no out. Yeah. And so I think he was just trying to really make it clear that these are the people who are running the game and this is what you're letting them get away with. You're letting J Maya do this. You're letting D do this. Like, and he's going at people who are bringing up his name. And I think that it was funny how mad D got at him. And I thought his response of, you were bringing up my name, was perfect, because she is. And when you're in the power position and you go at somebody, you don't really get hit with much, anything negative. But when you're on the bottom, you look like a sore loser or something, but you have to scrap. Why? I don't think it's a problem, but I think that the way everybody reacts to it makes you question it more, makes you look at it a little bit more negatively, because it does come across as abrasive or whatever. He's just playing the game, and he's just saying, look, if you really think that I'm the biggest threat, James Jones brought up a really good point, because I was saying Caleb seems like he's the obvious easy boot here. And James was like, no, you're going to see Caleb coming from 100 miles away. You're not going to see J Maya coming. J Maya is a shock. You don't know that J Maya is going to turn on you until she's already turned on you. Caleb, you already know that he has nowhere to go in this game. So if anything happens with him, you're ready for it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. All right, let's get into it.
Okay, cool. All right, well, nothing's going to change at the top for me. So last week, I went Austin, D, Kelly. That's my same three this week. It's 100%. I think those three are in the best spot. I'm going to keep Austin. I don't know what the splits are. So I know it's going to be 6-6. And I know that we're getting the totem pole one where they have the little notches and you can cling on. I'm assuming D is going to have a huge advantage because of her gigantic toe. If she can manage to fit it into that slot, she's going to kill this challenge.
Her toe might be too big for it.
Yeah, that's what the real concern is. Will it be too big? So as long as her foot fits, she's got a huge advantage. But I'm going to keep her at 2, and I'm going to keep Kelly at 3. So it goes Austin, D, Kelly. And Austin stays at number 1 because he has the bag of tricks. And at a week like this, that's what you need. I am looking at Austin and I'm saying, okay, has an idol. It's a full-blown idol at this point. He has his buddy who has the leave the tribal council if he needs it. We don't know what the split's going to be, but either way, it's likely he'll end up with at least one person that he's aligned with. D, Julie, Austin, Drew, Emily seems like a pretty good alliance right now. And I know I think Emily is definitely in on that, especially after last week. She voted for Caleb and was willing to do it in the moment. I honestly think Caleb might even be able to get in on that and get rid of some of these Bellow people. But that's where I stand with those three. And then I put, so Austin, because of the bag of tricks. D, I think is just safe. I think she's kind of the narrator of the season. I think she's playing great. And then Kelly at 3, because nobody on blue is voting Kelly out. They're not going to turn on her. She's everybody's number 1. And I don't think the people on red are ready to vote her out either. I think she's playing a really good Marianne, Erica-esque game where it's under the radar enough that nobody's looking at her right now as a threat to betray them. She's going to have to betray someone before everybody says, oh man, I'm nervous about her.
Yeah. I have a similar top 3. I have Austin at number 1 for all the reasons that you mentioned. Not only having the bag of tricks, but also he seems to be the most aligned person because he has his group before, but he also has Emily. Kelly is my number 2. Like you said, nobody's out for Kelly. Everyone, like in terms of Bellows, it seems like everyone has a problem with someone except for her. The only thing with Kelly is she has Austin coming for her. So we got to hope that they're on other side. They're on opposite sides because she took a sandwich, whether or not she wanted to. And that's not good. I have Emily at number 3. The only person who has thrown Emily's name out is Kendra, who I just don't know who she's aligned with, and I don't know how much pull she has, to be honest. So she also still has that, like, I'm floating around kind of situation. The only person she's aligned with is a currently significantly bigger threat than her. So I think that's really good for her. And like Bruce and her don't seem great, but I don't know if she would be who Bruce would go out of his way to target. So that's my top 3.
Yeah, I have Emily at 4. I have a really hard time seeing her being the target this week, no matter how the shakeup happens. The fact that she didn't get a single vote last week after everything went wrong for Caleb.
Yeah.
The fact that the backup wasn't her and instead it was to get rid of somebody from original Reba.
Mm-hmm.
That to me says a lot about where Emily stands socially in this game, and whether they're still underestimating her or not. I don't know what the reason is, but I really like her positioning now because her name didn't come up at all. Jay Maya could have voted Emily out of the game last week, and that would have been a bummer. That would have been much more heartbreaking than anybody else we've seen go at this spot. But because Emily is doing a good enough job with the social game, nobody is throwing her out there right now.
Mm-hmm.
They're more worried about where is she as a number? Can I use her? She seems like a valuable asset to everybody rather than somebody you need to be concerned about voting out of the game. So I have her at 4. I'm in agreement with you. I just don't see why the votes would go against her this week.
Yeah, totally. I separate a little bit. I actually have Julie at number 4. Julie she's sneaking right along. She's in this majority alliance. She did not is the only person who seems to have not had her name called out. Not to like fly through this, but I have D at 5 for that reason. D's name has been coming up a little bit more. But I think Julie, she really like has her head on straight. She seems very rational in her decision making. And I think even if it was kind of just her in this, her being the only red person, I don't really think that that's going to be a problem for her. And D being at number 5, I still think she's really safe. But Caleb put her name out there and she responded really strongly, which I think is very natural. But I think Sifu was already a little like untrustworthy of her. So her name's floating around a bit more.
Yeah, her name is definitely floating around a little bit more. But I almost feel like this was Caleb's way of saying D could win the game. And also, if Caleb went through the entire tribe, as I imagine he did, I bet you he went through a whole bunch of people out there. The fact that the editor showed us D's name and showed us D's reaction, I think that is telling. I think they're trying to signal something to us about D in this game, either that she is going to be taken out because she's a threat or that she's going to go on to win because nobody's really envisioning her as a threat. Now, in the preview for next week, Jake does say, I want to weaken D or something like that. But weaken D doesn't mean vote out D. That means do something that means keep her in the game, but take away her power.
That actually sounds like Julie. I did not realize he said that.
Right? So that's what I'm saying. Now, all of a sudden, it feels like, okay, are they going to go after Julie instead? Is there somebody else that they're looking to go after instead? Maybe, but we also don't know what the split is. So Jake would have to be on the same tribe as Julie.
Yeah, that's a good point. I completely missed him saying that.
Yeah. He was saying it to Katura for what it's worth. So I don't know if that's going to be post-tribe thing, because I'm assuming that they're going to do this challenge and then whatever team wins, whoever has like the longest lasting person, it's going to be how they're going to get separated to go to the sanctuary and the other tribe's going to go back to camp. Jake was saying this to Katura at camp. So maybe that means his team loses. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking too far into that. Maybe him and Katura aren't even on the same team. But that's just something to note that for going into this. So if they are on the same team, now Jake and Katura are talking and trying to weaken D. Zach brings up a good point here. She must win immunity then. Maybe she does. If that's why he's saying let's weaken her, maybe it's because he can't actually get her.
Yeah, that's a great call. And Phil and I watched one of the previews before this. We know that like probably tomorrow morning the tribes are going to be announced or the split's going to be announced. But I saw Kelly on the blue poll and who was it? Austin and I can't even remember now. Kelly was on the blue poll and I think Austin and Jake were on the same. We're on the red. Who did I say before we went live?
I think it was. I think you're right. I think you said Austin and Jake.
Yeah. From like blue versus red bandanas, but we have no idea. Jake's on a red pole. Okay.
And that's hard enough to see anyway, because they're all also wearing orange bandanas or something.
Yeah. Like, they also in the preview, they made the whole screen like sepia colored or like black and white. So they're really trying to hide it, which I think is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, who's your number 6?
My number 6. I have to do my number 5 first. I
Oh,
need to do
okay.
5 and then 6. I'm gonna go with Drew at 5, and
Okay.
I could see Drew going home in this type of situation if he gets separated from Austin. I feel like him and Austin are kind of thinking as one unit.
Mhm.
So that could definitely hurt Drew. But the fact that Drew has safety without power, this is the perfect situation to use safety without
Absolutely.
power. If you get into a situation where this break does not go your way, play it. Get the hell out of there. Run. There's no reason not to. There
Mhm.
really isn't. If you don't think you're in a good spot and you don't win immunity, just don't do tribal council. You're not going to offend anybody as much as as you know. I know a lot of people. Oh, well, you want to show that you trust these people. Blah blah blah. It helps you on the line. Just leave. Just get out of
Yeah.
there and worry about it later. Worry about you have plenty of days, and there's going to be plenty of things that happen that you can do further down the line.
Mhm.
Just worry about it then. So that's just what I'm thinking with this whole situation here. So yeah, I would. I think Drew leaves if he gets in a bad situation. So that's why I have him here. But if Drew gets a little too smart for his own good, or a little, starts being a little too comfortable, I still want to have him lower than these other 4 people I have in front of him, just because he could end up shooting himself in the foot.
Yeah. Um, I actually have Caleb at number 6. I think, like I said at the beginning, I think this tribe divide is probably really, really good for him. Especially if him and Emily end up on the same tribe and they can actually vote together, or the same split, they can actually vote together. But again, I think Bruce and Katora are going to want to vote for each other. I think Reba might want to get rid of Sifu. I really think Jake can be used as or not Jake, sorry. Caleb can be used as a number. So I have him right down the middle because at the same time, he also so easily could be a 4-1 vote.
Yeah, I have to keep him further down, just because even if what James Jones was saying was legit, makes sense, I get it. A lot of people get it. Even if that's what
Mhm.
our understanding is, that's not what the tribe is thinking.
Yeah.
That's just not what the tribe is thinking right now. They are zeroed in on Caleb. And like I've said, I don't think this is a big move. But right now, it's the biggest move, the biggest thing that's happened on this season. So
Yeah.
because it's the biggest thing that's happened on the season, it's fresh in everybody's mind. I look at this as Caleb essentially pulling a Chris Underwood. Me and Will talked about that. And I think Will brought it up. He said, how is it any different than Chris Underwood? He was voted out of the game. Now, granted, he didn't actually leave. He played something within game rules, but this is something that everybody is granted on day one. You get one of them and you get to play it, and you have your whatever. Somebody said 16 to 17% chance. Whatever it is, doesn't matter. You have your chance. That's it. He was essentially voted out and just got the luck of the draw.
This is
So
fun. Has anyone sent you hate mail?
no, I don't think so. I talked about this a lot on the Patreon podcast on the after show. I was
Mhm.
talking about this a lot, and nobody, I don't know if people were listening to it and agreeing with me. I don't know. But that's where I kind of tried to save this. So if you're not a $20 patron, go become a $20 patron, because that's what I talk about here. But I just think, like, it is what it is. So I'm not overly concerned with him, but I think everybody on the island is.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah. So I am going to, with that being said, I am going to go with Jake. I like Jake's chances to continue going deep into this game. So he's my number 6. I think that when you look at these, the people who are left, Jake and Kelly are the names from Blue that aren't coming up. Kendra hasn't really come up either, but
Mhm.
Kendra is edited like a stray bullet here.
Mhm.
So that's where I'm more concerned for her. Where Jake is being edited like deep, deep, deep into this game. Doesn't mean he's going to win. Doesn't mean he's even going to sit at final 3. He might not even make the finale. But if he were to go at final 12, I'd be really shocked. I'd
Yeah.
be really, really shocked. Remember, this is where who went the last time? It was in 43, it was James and who was the other one? Because then in 42, it was Tori and
Roxroy.
Roxroy, and those were both like, those felt like, random edits, blah blah blah, right down the line. So
It was Matt and who?
Last season it was Matt and who went at the same.
We're a disaster.
I know. I can't remember. Well, because they all bleed together. It's the same show over and over again. It's not as easy to remember.
Someone in the comments, help us.
Help me. It was Matt and Brandon.
Oh, yeah,
Oh no, because wait, did Brandon's tribe? No, I think it was just Matt, because I think this was one where they split it up.
Oh, they sent someone yes.
Yeah.
And then 43 was Ryan. I think Ryan was the other one.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So random. This is what I'm saying. Random. So that's why Kendra, concerned. Jake, not concerned at all. So I have Jake at 6.
Yeah, I have Jake at 7. The reason I just don't this is weird because I actually feel like this is a very well edited season, but apart from the Reba alliance, I really just do not know in any way like how Blue is aligned. And I know they haven't really been to tribal council before, so it's not like any fault of their own. But I don't think Jake is someone that they would vote out, but if it's like him versus all the Rebas, then maybe. But I don't know. I have him in the middle. I really, to your point, like he doesn't feel like a random person to vote out.
Yeah. I would be surprised if Jake went this week.
Yeah.
There would really need to be something bad that would happen, because he's not the number one target of Blue. He's not the number one target of Yellow. And he's not the number one target of Red. I think people want to work with Jake, not against Jake. So I would be really surprised. Really, really surprised if it was him this week.
Yeah. And we see, I think in the preview, he's like, I got to take charge, or I got to I got to get involved. So I think he'll be present.
Get involved instead of charge, because, we
I got to get
so much.
wicked charged.
We can only take so much. Oh, there goes my microphone. Anyway, why is this falling off now? Stay there. Okay. I am going to now I'll go with Julie. The weakening of D thing really does concern me, because Julie is clearly her number 2. So that does worry me at least a little bit, but I'm going to give the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what? Julie playing a good game in a solid situation. If she gets split, see, the thing is, they have to get split to a group of 4 that wants to work against D and Julie. I don't know if that exists out there right now. Like, Julie and D, or just Julie in general, would need to be on a tribe or on a team, whatever we're supposed to call them at this point, with 4 people who want to weaken Reba. And I don't know if that exists. I don't know if there's going to be 4 people who are willing and wanting to vote Julie out of the game this week.
Yeah, and I think there's like too many big, strong personalities that Julie would be chosen over that person, you know? But that is a good point. That is a good thing to look into. I can't tell if everyone knows how close this Reba 4 is.
Yeah. That's really what the big question is. But I think they have to know. I don't know. I'm dumbfounded if they don't know. But
dumbfounded, he says.
Dumbfounded. Whatever. Okay, and then at number 8, I'm gonna put Kendra. So I think Kendra could go home, but she's my last of should be safe this week.
Okay.
This makes sense as a spot for her to go based on the edit we've seen, but why would you vote Kendra out of the game right now? I just don't see why you would say, you know what? I don't want Kendra here anymore. Just doesn't make sense to me. So I'm going to keep Kendra. Yeah,
everyone seems to like her. It seems like everyone's a fan. So I also could imagine her going very far. I have Drew at number 8, which is probably pretty low for somebody who can just dip out of tribal council whenever they want and happens to be in the majority alliance. But I think out of the 4 of them, he's also the narrator, so I feel like he's not really going anywhere. But he, like, a lot of what we're getting from him is, I want to be the leader. I like being in charge. I want to rally the troops. And I think if that, like, if other players catch on to that, that could get him into a lot of trouble. And I feel like in a very tight, small group, it's really hard to hide that. So I am a little concerned for him.
Yeah, pretty much the last 4 people are people that I think
we have 3 of the same 4.
Yeah, they want to be in control of things that are going on. So kind of what you just said with Drew, they want to be in control of who's going home or how the vote is going to go or something along those lines. This is tough. And I'm going to put Bruce at 9. And normally my rule is if you have an idol at this point and in this type of tribal coming up, a double boot, where we don't know what the split is, normally I'd put you in the top 3. But the fact that, I mean, we literally had Katura say Bruce is such an idiot last week. Like, they are hammering us over the head.
They all are. It's not just Katura anymore, too.
Yeah, it's all over the place. So the fact that Bruce is just getting hammered like this makes me say, you know what? He could go home with an idol in his pocket. He could not play the idol and he goes home. And everybody goes, we told you Bruce was an idiot. Like, I could see it happening. I just could. So I have to put him all the way down here, but I'm not putting him that far. 9 is where he goes. He could absolutely go home this week. But I also think he found an idol. I think he does have enough people who are looking out for him in some way, shape, or form. That's good. And also, are you worried Bruce is going to beat you right now? If everybody's running around the island saying this guy's an idiot, are you really going to vote them out? I don't think so. That's what they did with Gabler, though, and it didn't work for him. So it could end up backfiring. But I just don't see them going for this guy right now, because why would they?
Yeah. I know. I think Bruce having an idol is something, it wasn't glossed over, but it had to happen so quickly at the beginning of the episode that you almost kind of forget that it happened. I think I don't think he knows he's on a bottom, but he knows no one's talking to him. And I think he's a smart enough guy to know that that's not a great sign. So I have him at number 9, which is pretty low. But I don't want to put him lower because he does have this idol, and I think he's aware. He also does, like, he does still have Jake that he can work with. He, to an extent, probably has Kelly. He could work with Kendra. So all of these are just could, woulds, I don't know. But I think also if he's annoying people, like, you could keep him too. I don't really know where the sentiment lies of, well, he's played before anymore. I don't know if we don't care about that
if they're
anymore.
still talking about that, my God.
Yeah. If they're still talking about that, they should vote him out. But I don't know. I don't think it's come up. So he's probably okay, but I wouldn't be surprised if he wasn't.
Yeah. The other thing, though, you had mentioned it seems like nobody's talking to him. I feel like I'm the only one who has said this in the entire community. Bruce, they all were talking about voting out J. Maya. Bruce said, no, we're voting out Caleb. And then every single person voted for Caleb. The person who started that was Bruce. Bruce started the get rid of Caleb train. So for as much as it seems like Bruce is on the outs and not doing the right thing or making the right moves or making the right alliances, Bruce 100% was the reason Caleb got the votes.
Totally.
And even if they're not working with him and they don't actually want to go to the end with him, right now, Bruce has to be feeling pretty good about his standing because every single person just went along with what he wanted, Katura included.
Do you think the votes going into tribal council were 100% sweep Caleb, or do you think that switched after the J. Maya thing?
No, I think they were 100% sweep Caleb.
Really? Okay. I couldn't tell. So, but that's a good call. That was Bruce's idea.
Yeah, it was all Bruce. So right now, Bruce is sitting there going, oh, I am in a good spot. Even if he's really not, which is where it's a little nerve-wracking, him having this idol, is it seems like everything just went right for him.
Yeah.
But I don't know if everything just went right for him.
I don't know. It might have. That's a really good point. And I feel like we don't see that very often where someone gets what they want, but it doesn't mean they're on top.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're down to our bottom 3. We all have the same bottom 3.
Kendra, CJ, and Katura.
You have Kendra still. I have Caleb here.
Okay. Wow. Got him low.
I do. Well, I don't know what the split's going to be. I worry, so the one thing that I know with 100% certainty is Caleb is not going to have a majority of his starting tribe on whatever his split is. And
So
him and
true.
Emily are the only two people that can be said for. But Emily has been shown to be so tight with other people, whereas Caleb has been shown to be a threat to other people.
Yeah.
So I am keeping Caleb low. I'm worried about it. I really am. And I'm actually going to put him as one of my eliminators this week. And I'm going to put Katura at 10. And I'm going to go, I guess the order doesn't really matter after that, but I will, for the sake of it, I will put Caleb at 11, and I am just like, Sifu needs to go home, right? This has to be the week Sifu goes home. There is no way Sifu survives this week with the edit he has gotten. There's just, it's not humanly possible for him to survive this week. I'm not buying it. There's no way.
Sifu he's not going to be like the fifth member of the jury. Like that, I don't imagine that.
He's got to go this week. It just doesn't make sense for him not to go this week. The edit has been atrocious for Sifu. He is non-existent for the most part. And everybody has been on board to get this guy out. J Maya is gone. If you want to weaken D, and even if Sifu's not one of her allies, he is still somebody who was on the original starting tribe with her. So vote him out of the game. I just don't see. There's the same thing I felt with Ryan. And it's the same thing I felt with, it wasn't James. We just talked about it. It was the same thing I felt with Roxroy. This is where the random guy goes home at this split vote where they don't have enough allies to get them through this awkward 3-3, 4-2, 5-1 vote. That's where they go home. So that's why I have him. And I just think Caleb is too much of a threat, and he's going to be an easy target. Let's say you get split up, 2 Bellow, 3 Reba. Reba might say, you know what? Let's get rid of one of the Bellows. But if those Bellows are Kelly and Jake, and you like Kelly and Jake, why would you vote out Kelly or Jake when you can vote out Caleb? When everybody would be on board to vote out Caleb. Everybody just showed they were on board to vote out Caleb. So I'm going to put Caleb here because, again, when Kelly Wentworth played her idol, Savage went home. And it was an epic moment because Savage went home. When Parvati played the 2 idols, JT went home. And that gave the villains total control of that season. Right now, Caleb's move did not change the structure of this season at all. Caleb's move was when Malcolm gave the idols to Reynolds and Eddie to get Phillip out of the game. It meant nothing. It was just because. And that's where I feel right now. This is not a game-changing move. But for Caleb, it got him another day or 2 in the game. Good. That's what you want. Keep going. Yeah. Keep moving because anything can happen the longer you're in the game. A split, you win immunity. That's the other thing. This type of challenge, this is something Caleb could absolutely win. Totally. So we know what the challenge is. So maybe I should have him a little bit higher. I don't think Sifu wins, though. And I don't think Katura is going to win it. And Katura's edit has been really, really bad. And I don't know what Katura's game is. And I could see Katura, if she gets on the wrong side of it, being somebody who goes home because I don't feel like anybody on Reba is saying, man, we got to work with Katura.
Yeah, I don't think so. We really just don't know anything other than like the Bruce stuff.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure is very frustrating, like for all parties. Yeah. And it's, but it is what it is. What number am I on? I crossed.
So you got to do your 10, 11, 12. Go ahead.
Okay. So Kendra's my number 10. And it's not because I think anyone wants her to go home, but I think the bottom 3 are people who I don't know. I don't know who they have as advocates. So I don't know who would advocate to save Kendra. And again, we're going to be in a very small group where one person has immunity. So it's a 25% chance of going home at baseline. And all of Reba is aligned. Caleb and Emily have each other. I don't know where the Blue Tribe stands, and I know I've said that 100 times, but that's why I have her pretty low.
Yeah, we don't know. No, I mean that's totally fair. We don't know, so I get it.
Yeah. So same bottom 2.
Yeah, and no, it's not because I had Caleb at 11.
Oh, you already went there. Okay, got it.
Yeah, I go Caleb 11, Sifu 12.
Okay, got it. I go Katura 11, Sifu 12. So we both think Sifu is 100% going home. I just think if it's Bruce versus Katura, I actually think Bruce wins.
Especially because he has the idol now.
Yeah, he has the idol. He has the idol. And we've just seen a little more from him, and that's not her fault. I'm sure she's had a lot of great things to say, and it's like unfortunate that this is all we've gotten from her. But I don't know who she has as an advocate. And I think even Kelly, who we're saying is the person who could be aligned with anyone, I think Kelly kind of doesn't really want much to do with either of them. So Couture's in trouble, but I think Sifu, like no questions asked. I think people find him annoying. To your point, this is probably not his challenge. I don't know. I can't imagine he survives this and then like goes home next week. That just feels.
That's what I'm saying.
odd.
Like, it feels like, and even though we're getting an hour and a half instead of an hour, it feels like based on what we've seen from Sifu and the game that Sifu has played, Sifu just feels like somebody who would have half of an episode dedicated to his boot, not a full episode dedicated to his boot. That's just what it feels like. That's just factual at this point. So
totally. So there it is.
There it is.
Yeah, that was pretty quick, but it's just the two of us, so
that made it easier. And it's daylight saving, so I don't know. My body doesn't know what time it is.
Sleep.
It's dark. It's pitch black. Didn't we see? I'm confused because I thought at the last vote, didn't we all vote and didn't they pass that daylight savings would be time forever? Like, why did that not end up being a thing?
Yeah, this like if there are many things that should not to like get into politics, but like there are a lot of things that are very bothersome. But this passed in the House and then died in the Senate. And it just like expired. They just like didn't vote on it.
Jesus. And that was something that as a nation, we all agreed.
It was like a full clean vote.
Republicans and Democrats finally agreed on something in our country and we still didn't do it.
It's so unfortunate.
My God.
So, I mean, I woke up this morning an extra hour rested, so that was lovely, but I really thought we were past this.
I know. I thought
I had the same thought as you, Phil, and I looked it up. I was like, why is no one talking about this?
And I feel like it's earlier this year than it was last year. I feel like the first week of November is really early for this. November 5th seems like way too early in my November to be having it be dark at 5:30.
When is the other way? It's like always around St. Patrick's, right?
Yeah, it's like sometime the first or second week of March. It's normally the first weekend of March Madness or the weekend before that because March Madness always feels like the birth of spring.
That's so true. Yes.
Yeah.
Which it is scientifically.
Scientifically proven. Scientifically proven. But yeah, so that's where we stand on this.
That's where we stand. So Phil and I are going to be back on Wednesday. It's going to be just the two of us yet again. Live after the episode, 9:30 p.m. Eastern time. Hope you all enjoyed chatting with Will or hearing from Will. I saw you guys put some good Instagram stories up. So nice job there. So make sure to tune into that. Become a patron, patreon.com/Survivor Specialist. It is the beginning of the month, so it's a great time to do so. Because of Thanksgiving, Phil and I might actually record our Patreon podcast a little early or maybe around Thanksgiving. So stay tuned for that. We have stuff from John and McKenna. So great time to become a patron. Great time to be a fan of the Specialists.
Yeah, become a patron and enjoy the next episode. And we'll see you guys all on Wednesday night.
See y'all on Wednesday.
Sifu won't be here anymore. There's no way.